Rex.
The room was silent. Only the faint ticking of the clock echoed across the cold concrete walls of the death row holding unit. A single tear rolled down Elena Moore's cheek, a woman whose face still carried traces of beauty, strength, and pain. Her eyes, deep hazel and heavy with regret, fixed on the guard standing before her. "I just have one request," she whispered. "Before you
I just
take
want to
me,
see my dog.
I want to see my dog." The warden froze. The guards exchanged puzzled looks. No one had ever made such a request in the history of the state penitentiary. A dog? What could possibly be so important about a dog at this moment, at the edge between life and death? And yet, something in her voice, something breaking and raw, made even the most hardened officers stop in their tracks. What followed will be remembered forever, not just by those in the room, but by everyone who would later hear her story. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe, tap the like button, and tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. We love to know just how far our stories travel around the world, because this one will shake your heart. Elena Moore, 30 years old, once known as the woman with the radiant smile, now sat behind bars in an orange jumpsuit, her wrists chained, her spirit heartbroken. But before the world saw her as a murderer, she was a veterinary nurse. She loved animals more than she loved herself. Her small-town clinic had once been filled with wagging tails and purring cats, and in the middle of them all, her German shepherd, Rex. Rex wasn't just a pet. He was a shadow, her protector, her family. When Elena lost her parents in a car crash at 21, Rex was the only one who stayed. He'd sit by her bed every night, his warm breath against her hand, his amber eyes reflecting a loyalty no human could match. But one night changed everything. It was storming, a night full of thunder and rage. Elena had just returned home when she found two masked men ransacking her small house. They weren't ordinary thieves. They were part of a gang she had unknowingly crossed paths with, men who used her clinic to move illegal animals through the black market. When she discovered their operation and threatened to expose them, they decided to silence her. Rex backed, lunged, fought, but the scene turned violent. By the time the police arrived, one man was dead, another wounded, and Elena was holding the gun, trembling, covered in blood, Rex whimpering beside her. The story twisted fast. The gang members disappeared. No witnesses. And the evidence all pointed to Elena. No one believed her self-defense plea. And so, the woman who once saved lives was sentenced to death for taking one. The years on death row were slow, gray, and merciless. Elena barely spoke. The other inmates called her the silent vet. Every time she dreamed, she saw Rex running free in a meadow, looking back at her as if to say, "Don't give up." Her heart broke every time she woke up to steel bars instead of sunlight. Rex had been taken to an animal shelter after her arrest. No one knew if he was still alive. Until one day, 5 years later, a young volunteer came to visit the prison with therapy dogs. When Elena saw a German shepherd among them, her breath caught. The eyes, the fur, the scar on his right paw. It couldn't be. "Rex," she whispered. The dog's ears shot up. His tail wagged slowly, cautiously. Then he backed, once, then again, before pulling away from his handler and running to her. The guard didn't even move. The moment was too pure. Rex leapt into her arms, whining, licking her face, nuzzling her neck like the years apart had never existed. For the first time in years, Elena smiled. But that moment of joy didn't change her fate. Her appeal was denied. Her execution date was set for September 4th. When the warden came to inform her, she nodded calmly. "I've made peace with my past," she said quietly. "But I like one thing before it ends." The warden raised a brow. "What's that?" "I want to see my dog one last time." Word spread like wildfire through the prison. Some mocked her request, others were moved, but something about her sincerity reached deep. Even the warden, a man known for his coldness, felt a lump in his throat. And so, the request was granted. The morning of her execution, the prison yard was quiet. The sky was painted in soft pink hues. A single chair was placed in the middle of the field, surrounded by guards and reporters who had been allowed to witness what would soon follow. The gates opened, and Rex was led in on a leash. Elena stood tall, her jumpsuit neat, her hair tied back. Despite her situation, there was an aura of peace around her. When Rex saw her, he pulled free and ran, tail wagging wildly. Elena dropped to her knees and embraced him tightly. Tears streamed down her face. "You waited for me," she whispered. "You never forgot." Rex whined softly, resting his head on her lap. The guards turned away, some to hide their own tears. Even the warden cleared his throat, pretending not to wipe his eyes. Elena spoke softly to Rex. "You be my best friend, my only friend. Promise me you'll keep living. Promise me you'll run for both of us." The dog's eyes glistened, as if he understood. Moments later, as the guards approached to escort her away, Rex began to bark, not angrily, but desperately, calling after her. "Goodbye, boy," she whispered, smiling through her tears. "You've already saved me once. Now let me save you." As she lay on the table, strapped in, Elena's final words were simple. "Tell Rex, I'm free now." The chamber filled with silence. The warden's voice cracked as he gave the final order. But as the clock ticked, something extraordinary happened. The state governor, who had been watching a live feed of a final wish, called in with an emergency order. He had seen the footage of her reunion with Rex and the inconsistencies in her case. The review team found new evidence suggesting the gang members' fingerprints on the weapon. "Stop the execution," the voice on the intercom shouted. "We're halting it immediately." Gasps filled the room. Elena's eyes fluttered open in disbelief. "What?" she whispered. "You're not dying today," said the warden, trembling. She broke down in tears. She wasn't just alive. She was free. Months later, a news crew filmed Elena walking through a sunlit park, Rex by her side, both of them finally breathing the air of freedom. The footage went viral. Millions watched as a woman who had once faced death now walked with life at her side. Her story became a symbol, a reminder that sometimes love and loyalty are the only truths left in a world full of judgment. And that, my friends, was the story of Elena Moore and Rex, a bond that not even death could break. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves animals. And please, drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to know how far our stories travel across the world.